3, 2, 1.
Hello, everybody. I'm Chris Schmidt, and I am joined today with
Nick Hopkins.
Excellent. I am very excited. He was a guest years ago, and I'm really excited to have him back again. He will be doing an introduction for all of his material in just a little bit. But you have made it to Rocket Lasso Season 2, Episode 9 of Rocket Lasso Live. Mm-hmm. So thanks, everybody, for coming and making it. We are going to spend the next 2 hours answering your Cinema 4D questions. So without further ado, I'm going to switch it over to the screen, and I'm going to let Nick take over for a little bit and give you some of his background. Actually, you're free to switch it. So when you're ready, just click that button. It'll go to the screen. Otherwise, just start with your intro.
All right. Hey, guys. My name's Nick Hopkins. I'm the co-owner of a studio called Run, Kick, Shout, which is not on the screen yet.
Yeah,
but
you can click it right.
All right. Sure. Yeah. This is some of our work, if you're not familiar. Yeah, we have a kind of a boutique studio that we started 3 years ago, and it's up north of Chicago a little bit. It's still in Chicago, but it's in an area called Ravenswood, and we do mostly 3D work, but anything that's kind of just more stylized and more fun. Although we do some VFX work as well. We're actually on we actually just launched. We uploaded this HP project and this this one here, this Comporium one. But we can click on some stuff. This is probably one of my favorite ones we did, which is some work for PayPal. We got to make these fun little vignettes. If I click on it,
no.
Okay.
Just move the mouse because I see that too.
Oh, sure, yeah. I guess I could full screen it, huh?
PayPal is accepted by more online stores than there are pigeons in New York City.
Watching it's cool
accepted
too.
On over 19 million.
But yeah, this is all C4D. This is all Redshift for this one. We kind of had a cool workflow. I mean, we can go into projects more, but just like overall, we work with other people. Like this is, we had a collaboration with another studio on this one called Calabash, and they fed us a bunch of like Alembic files and stuff. But yeah, anyways.
So you can
sure.
The key to victory.
Well, how about we just don't do that? Look at stills. Sorry if that was double audio, guys. Yeah, so we I personally been in the industry for about 10 or 11 years now. Been doing this for 3. I was freelance before that for like 5 years, and then at a full time at a studio before that. So I've kind of I've been around the town.
Yeah.
We
used to work out the same space too. For a
while.
While.
Back when Bomb Camp was around, me and Chris, we would rent desks there. That's actually how we got started. Was at Bomb Camp, and that was one of our first big jobs. Me and Erik. That was probably 2016.
Yeah. Well, it's a while ago when that started. You guys were some of the early ones in the space.
Yeah. We did a half-res talk where we kind of walked through some of our origin story. So that's part of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not sure where the link is, but yeah.
I think it's half-res 7. There's a link for half-res 7. Maybe don't watch it because it's embarrassing, but
so that's why you're recommending it to everyone.
Right. That's why I'm making sure everyone knows about it. Anyways, I can just walk through a little bit of work again. Yeah, so just kind of we do a lot of 3D projects, and this is all C4D and this is C4D, but we've been getting more into like live action lately. So we did this project here for Sunmade where we got to go capture a bunch of cool footage with a team, and we did all this really fun origami stuff, all paper unfolding, incredibly heavy scene files, like XREFs nested inside of XREFs. Just kind of a crazy spot, but we're really happy with how it turned out. And it was fun, just trying to weigh in on live action and trying to figure out how those plates work, and kind of getting into another side of it.
Was that the first time you had been working with live action footage to this extent at Run, Kick, Shout?
No, this John Deere one is probably one of the earlier ones. This is from 3 years ago. And this is where we did actually a bunch of photoreal stuff, but still kind of has a stylized vibe to it. So I'm not sure if we posted production photos. Got some vehicle renders here. I don't think there's audio on it, so I'll play it. But yeah, just a bunch of stuff, bunch of machinery for deer. Lots. This is all Octane, and these are all CAD models they provided to us that we had to really like. I mean, all the circuitry was in there. It was like the heaviest stuff you could think of.
Super clean it out.
Yeah.
Were you able to use the new CAD imports in Cinema, or is that before that?
Before that. This is probably like, I don't know, R16 maybe or something like that we used. I mean, 3 years ago it had to be, and we were probably a version behind. Like for R21, I've only been in it for a week because we've been on another project in R20, and you know, I don't like to change it. But here I'll just walk you through like some interesting stuff here. Okay, cool. 3D rock, 3D rope. This is a real rope that we had, which is kind of interesting. Full screen it. But we had shot a real rope that went back into a green screen, and we had to find a way to blend it all together, which was kind of a cool challenge. And then, you know, just like doing all this like sim stuff, all the rocks and the dirt. And we actually just wrapped up a new John Deere project that kind of is the next version of this, the iteration. But it's a lot different than this, but same idea.
So is that a rock asset you got? Did you model it?
We modeled it, yeah. We had some reference of like a smaller version of it, and we basically just sculpted it. I think we used ZBrush. We may have used a little bit of the C4D tools. But yeah, like stamping on like these like interesting claw marks from a vehicle or something like that, and like, you know, cloning all this stuff on top was all the rocks, like a thin like rock base at the bottom.
So were you ultimately able to hide the rope just behind his back then?
Yeah. So we had roto for him, and then we kind of just hit it. And there's like a point back here that he's kind of. The minute you start like looking at this too closely, it starts to break a little bit. But it does okay. We did a pretty good job, I think, of blending it. You know, like 3D motion blur, and then we got to do this one. Right, little mini machines. This is a real car, and we had to like make obviously fake reflections, and I'm not sure if we saw. There's some production photos where we got to use these little we made these little cubes just by like getting these wooden blocks and gluing decals to them. So we were able to like make some cool tracking markers that you can actually pick up, and we use those with a GeoTrack.
So did you do a full replacement of the hood, or is it just compositing specifically the reflection?
Just compositing. So we had a hood on there. Maybe it's patched out a little bit because we were able to get it pretty close because we had HDRs on set. And those, honestly, we didn't use a lot of them, but they were good for like that reflection in particular. And I think we may have had a plane right here with the footage. So he would actually like I don't think that would reflect this quite like that.
Right.
But you know, you use what you can, use what you've got.
It works for me.
Yeah. Let's see. Other work people might find interesting. We love this stylized stuff. This is just what I like making the most, which is why you'll see so much of it. You know, like little things that look small and look real.
What would this style? I almost want to call this like the MoGraph style.
Yeah, like, now it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, I call it the fun in 3D style, I guess. Just now. Yeah.
Well, when I had a guest over, I forget if it was Amador. I think it was when Amador was here. It was like it looked exactly like that, and we're like, how did they do this? They're like tearing these eggs apart and everything. It was like, oh wait, they were filming it for real in the style of every motion graphics animation.
Well, that's funny because this is all 3D, you know, and we got to dig in and like get into the texturing, so you'll see like subtle bumps and you know, we kind of try to make things move in a way that it could. We take liberties with that for sure. But this project we just completed end of last year was the complete opposite. We tried to shoot almost every asset. So this is the asset we shot. And a production studio in Arizona, we went out to supervise and then did all the post work on it. And there's some of it is 3D, like all these roots are 3D. And we can get some shout outs. I think, let's see, Chaz Fries helped out on some of the edit. Dan Tiffany helped out. Scott Pellman. Let's see, we got Brody on some other stuff. Anyways, yeah, shout outs. Gotta.
Well, let's start getting into
sure,
questions.
Yeah.
So, in the video description, if you're watching, there's going to be links to all of the Run, Kick, Shout information, the website, and how to find them on social media. But in any case, I think we're ready to start tackling questions. So let's do that. Actually, I'll stay on the screen just so we don't accidentally miss it. I'm going to scroll up to tackle them, and it looks like some of the chat has gone away from scrolling, but I'm going to click on this link from Terry. We're going to take a look at it. It's popping open in Firefox. And he was asking me this question separately. I said, hit me up during the stream. We can try and tackle it. And the specific question was trying to get a realistic wheel spinning and this ball bouncing properly. Was kind of the question. So I think that's pretty neat. It's very specific in the dynamics.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we were to tackle this right now, how much one of us could take it, and how much the other, how much is there that we could share this as a project. I'm not sure, but this is very good reference in 3D.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep this link open. We're going to click a couple of other links as well, just to choose from them. Digital Donut has an Instagram link. Okay, everything wants to open up in Firefox today. So Instagram from Physics Fun. So first of all, before I even click it, let's see if this seems to be saying it's not 3D. Everything here seems to be real.
It's calling it a physics toy.
Yeah, okay, it's real. Is there any audio?
I saw the word magnetron.
Does it say magnet?
I think at the bottom it did. Something like that. I don't even understand what's happening.
I think it's just like having...
Just one spins the other just from...
Yeah, they're magnetic, and there's a pole on each one. And yeah, so they're fighting each other.
What's that Simpsons quote? We obey the laws of thermodynamics in this house.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. I like it.
I guess my question would be like, why not just hand animate it? That's gonna be my answer to a lot of these questions. I'm sorry for anyone.
My answer
is
never hand animate.
Right? Yeah.
No, so make it real as it can be.
The older I get, the more I'm like, I'll just freaking do it by hand.
Yeah, but the fun part of this challenge is to get it to, get the technical part to work.
It's got like a
so it's just a positive and a negative magnet. Now this is a relatively simple setup.
Just like
I can.
Attractors on each end of it that kind of push away.
Yeah, attracting and repelling on one side and the other.
It's kind of interesting.
So we could potentially put that together. I do like the idea.
Would you use a constraint to anchor the middle?
Definitely
in there. Yeah.
So that's definitely one we could tackle. It goes into if we go and try and make it look pretty, or how far we'd push that one if you wanted to do something. Oh, the magnet. I
would probably just add little, like, those foosball. I'd make those little foosball characters that try to like hit their heads against each other.
Oh.
I'm already telling you right now, that's what I'd do. So
all right, we're gonna hold on to that one as a link and keep on going through, because we're a little bit more picky when there's a guest here, because we try and find ones that we could kind of have two people tackle. All right, what do we got here? Here's a link from Dean. And computer lays the prettiest the brick walls since whatever this word is, from treehugger.com. I mean, this is just Pinterest.
Is that image what they want us to create?
Well, it's just like, yeah, okay. So, what we're seeing right here, it's assuming this text seems unrelated. That just seems like a bunch of bubbles.
Tree hugger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Honestly, I do not have
It's like a cellular view or something.
Yeah. Well, it just seems like you blow a bunch of bubbles, and once they all start intersecting each other, like when one bubble touches another, they form a wall. When you put a third one in there, there's a triangle wall, like a 3 points meet. And then
that could just be a shader thing, or it could be a volume builder thing, I guess.
Well, that's the thing, is like you couldn't do it with a shader. The only way to do this is to kind of make it real. And the only way I could think to do that would be to actually make a bunch of bubbles and then overly inflate them to the point where they're all fighting each other for space. And then you'd start getting those shapes. You'd have to shade that. Honestly, I can...
Like, laying out splines would be the easiest. Like, that'd be the most specific way to get it. Like,
but that wouldn't be...
Like, especially for this bottom part here. I'm just looking at that and how those all have a single connection. Each one has a connection, right?
Yes, but that's only where they're intersecting. Actually, I think I can do like a 2-minute version of this. So I'm going to pop open Cinema.
Shit.
And we're going to do it as simple as possible. I'm going to make a cube. I'm gonna make it invisible actually, so we don't need to see it.
You don't think you could use like a curvature shader with some transparency and like get it to join up?
Curvature shader.
Like yeah.
Well, it's not real. If you're trying to make that in 3D,
Right.
I can't think of any way around it except for
if you want to move, I guess.
Yeah, actually have them interact in some way. Now they won't be sticky, but if we make it a collider body, and I guess we can make it I'm gonna add a render tag display, use line so we can see through it, and then we'll make a very simple sphere setup icosahedron so we can see the individual polygons a little bit better. Cloner, and we'll make a 2x2x2 grid 2x2x2. We get that, and they should all pretty much perfectly be not touching. I'll just shrink them a little bit. Grab the overall thing, T for scale them until we're pretty much perfectly fitting in there. And now we will add a final simulation soft body tag onto those. Already I know we're going to need more frames, more subframes. So I'm going to go to Control D or Command D, Dynamics, Expert, steps per frame, 10. All right. And now I think the only thing that is left is, let's turn off gravity. We don't need that. So back to Command D, gravity 0. And we need to scale the rest length. So I'm going to grab rest length at the time of 0. That is the proper size. And we'll give them a full 45 frames to, I think doubling in size is too much. Let's say 175. So let's just see what happens. I think it should run pretty smooth. Or explode. The cube is not, the cube needs to be a static mesh. There we go. And honestly, we don't need any bounce. And I think it'd be nice if they could freely slide around. So let's do no friction, no bounce. All right, there we go. That should be all we need to do. They're going to slowly inflate. And now they're kind of behaving like bubbles. I mean, the bubbles wouldn't magically inflate. But as these inflate, you see they're going to start fighting each other and eat up all of the available space. Now, the tricky part is, like, we would need an incredible resolution to have these start actually taking on the shape. But you see, here's how you get that triangle shape, like that angle connecting with that angle, connecting with that angle. But you also need like a bunch of internal pressure, I think. So that would be an additional variable here.
How will you join them, or will you?
You don't join them. You just pressure. I'm not sure how much. I forget if pressure is like 1 or 10 or 100. So let's do 10 or 11. Yeah, it's not too much. Let's do an extra 0. I might freak them out, but yeah. So these are really trying to inflate. So you'd have to just keep on increasing the poly count.
So like one of those shoe commercials for the soul.
Yeah, there's so many of those. But yeah, as we increase the point count, they're going to have a better and better resolution. And now you could just apply a proper like soap bubble material to it, and it's based on the way that these are interacting with each other that actually would create that that material. Actually, can you put together a Redshift material that would like refract?
I think that's certainly a cool way to get the look down. Can I click on this Firefox link again? Is it?
Yeah.
So the only thing, okay, yeah. Well, it's weird because each one has an outline almost that like merges in. But I guess we could try and see where that goes.
I think you'll see that in the internal structure.
Yeah. All right. By the way, I'm digging this. You went back to the R20 kind of lighter gray, right?
It's just R21.
No, I think maybe your monitor is just a lot brighter than mine. So I doing this in Redshift, I'll just make a standard material here, and then I'm gonna leave it kind of floating. Normally, I'd want to ground it. Let me just getting a sense of the controls right now, since I'm kind of a hotkey person, so I gotta figure out.
It's all vanilla, and R21 has a new interface. So.
Yeah. I've only been on it for a week, so I'm just gonna set up some quick lights just to get some reflections. I'm gonna actually
we also throw an HDR.
Yeah, I'm gonna save this camera out just so I can save my place here, and then I'm gonna go over here and work in perspective mode, and I'm just gonna move some lights around that could cause some interesting things to happen. Oh god. Let's see here. That, and then I'll just throw one up on top on the opposite way, maybe. I'll go up here, and then I will, especially with glass and things with transparency, if you're not reflecting stuff, you're not really going to see what it's doing properly. So
I always would get interesting tech supports in Topcoat.
Yeah.
When we Grayscale Grill had the tool Topcoat, and it created reflective materials, and people would say, hey, I just applied this and I'm not seeing anything. And I was always like, do you have an HDR in the scene? Because if there's nothing to reflect, a reflection looks black.
Yeah. This is one cool thing about those projects that have live sets, that you can actually really get a sense of how they control things. And, you know, the more you recreate that, the better. So I'm going to put this really giant softbox on top of it. And then that will just add like a really cool halo to the, like a bendy reflection. But we don't have to get too into that. So we're going to go in here and apply this. Let's go into our render view. And I'll just dock it, I guess, here.
Yeah, we'll be fighting for space.
So it's really bright. So we'll just crank all these down. We'll start with like 5.
I'll do it again. The keyboard falls asleep.
Oh, really? Okay. Is the numlock on?
I don't think so.
Oh. Well.
No, oh, you can't. Yeah, you can't use those.
I can't use those? Oh.
I never do, so I never notice. But everybody else is like, why isn't it working?
Okay. So we got some reflections here. You can see that these are really tight. So I might just move those around a little bit. Kind of get them off to the side.
So what's your thought here? What are you going for?
I am just going for something that I'm not even looking at the image right now. I just want to see what the shader is doing first, and then I'll go back and tweak the lighting to match it. So I mean, there's not really any reflection going on whatsoever, but there is some here I'm seeing. And like all that back there is kind of interesting. And this whole part is obviously getting a brighter shader, which is actually from the bottom, but or it's getting a brighter light or something, some kind of a light source. So I might try and match that later, but right now I'm just going to go into my shader and work on this. So here's our, thank God you're not in that new node space.
Oh, everybody's like, I got to turn it off. I think it's going to be better once everyone gets used to it. But right now it's like, no, I need what I'm familiar with.
I haven't even tried it yet. Yeah. So yeah, making stuff transparent is super easy. We'll just up the refraction a little bit, see what we're doing. There you go. Yeah. And it's let's see.
Well, these are they're not. That's behaving like water right now because it's a full volume. So
yeah,
it might
yeah.
be a thin shell.
Yeah, it might need some kind of like a.
We just put it into a
fall off, or there's like a subsurface, a really light subsurface thing could work, or some kind of honestly, the way I was gonna do this is just with an outline shader and make the geometry really simple, but
but right now this geometry is a full volume. So if we put the entire thing into like a cloth NURBS, we give it a little bit of thickness.
Yeah.
And then it becomes like a thin shell.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm gonna first just I'm gonna make sure that we're actually seeing through the actual make sure all of our settings are set up here. Let's put some stuff on. I'm gonna make it low settings.
Nope,
right.
Don't pay.
Right.
Sorry.
We're gonna keep it low.
I gotta remember to turn that on.
I have no idea what your defaults are. So
my defaults are the defaults.
This is actually a little bit different than I saw last. I'm not sure what version you're on, but for transparent things, you want to crank up your transparency trace depth because otherwise you won't see through it. And I think the reflection is fine because we don't really care about those quite as much. But if you were to toggle this down, you would start to stop seeing through it. And the more you toggle through it, you start to see
more
all the depth. Yeah. So we'll just leave this at wherever it was, 16. The next step is to actually dial down some of the, let's just make this black. And you wanted to give this some thickness. So let's do cloth surface. We'll just zero this out. Reset. It's probably all.
It's at 0.
Is it?
Yeah. You just drop the sphere inside the cloth surface.
All right.
You probably have to run the sim again though.
And then now we've got like a little bit more detail.
But there's no thickness yet. So
would have to resim for that?
Well, first of all, click on the cloth surface.
Oh, right.
And then right now, give that one and subdivision 0.
Right.
There we go. Now there should actually be thin walled.
Just make sure this is all working right. Okay, cool.
Yeah, very different. So there we go.
Yep. And we're going to
let them touch each other.
I can do that in a second. I'm just going to blast this for a second to
really
dial it down probably. So yeah, you'd probably want some kind of a shader driving. I mean, one way to do it is to have a shader driving reflection that just hits the outer points harder. Or we somehow mesh something that just goes on the out. Like it's kind of interesting.
I don't.
So
this is a photograph. This is a photograph of bubbles.
Right.
So I was just trying to recreate bubbles for real.
Yeah, but so that outline though, you think that will just happen if we?
Yeah, if it's catching the correct angle, because currently it's not inflated. But if you run the sim again, I think at a particular angle you'll start to see those.
All right.
At least that's the hope. Of course, the two of them would probably blend together.
But they're not actually penetrating, right? So
they shouldn't be. Oh wait, stop. We should have saved it. Let me hit render. We should have saved because now we're running the sim on the thin surface, and that means there's 2 layers of it.
And and Redshift's going too.
And Redshift's going. Hitting play there was dangerous. We might have just lost everything. So we'll give it a second to wake up. I hit render a couple times, and usually render is a good way of, if the scene suddenly renders, then it'll work. If not,
it's my first day. Oh, there you go. I got some.
Okay, we got it to survive. So I'm going to slightly change the order of operations here. The simulation shouldn't be affected, but we will combine all these in the connect object that's not welded, and then we'll put that into a cloth surface. So now those should sim, and what we should have done already was save the file. Nick, everything gets saved in the episode 9 and scene files if you end up saving anything. Bubbles. Okay, so, and let's pause the render, and then I'm gonna hit 1 frame. Well, I guess now we zoom up on this thing and just see if it's able to handle the sim now. It seems to be simming. Maybe. The cloth surface
could turn off. Oh, it is turned off.
Oh, okay. It's one of those things where it's not refreshing. The NURBS objects tend to stop you from being able to see a refresh in the viewport, although the connect object might also be doing it. You see, it doesn't refresh it properly, but we can just turn those off and let the sim run.
Someone just goes, "So cheese, huh?"
Yeah, it's doing a lot of work, but as we'll let it go a few frames. It doesn't need to go too far. We might need to inflate them more because we're not going to get those little pinches.
So you're thinking just as the contact points get close enough, they'll create a harder reflection or a harder, like a point.
Yeah, they become flat surfaces, which we can then see through, but the edges have curvature to them.
But what about the one that's on the facing camera in that picture? Do you think that will get the same kind of highlight around its...
I'm not sure I'm following.
Oh, well, we can look at it again.
It should probably inflate more. And then if we were being really real with these, oh man, but then what I want to do is put this into a volume surface.
Yeah.
But I don't trust the volume builder.
Why don't we just stamp this down and not have to worry about simulations anymore? We're just trying to get a look, right?
Yes, no.
I know you hate that.
I do hate that. I hate it a lot. Let's see. I'm going to actually make another little sphere here in the middle just for fun.
I'm going to be the little devil on your shoulder that's like,
do it.
Stamp it down.
Stamp it.
Destroy it.
And I want these to grow a little bit more. I guess they take 45 frames to grow. So we'll just shorten that time frame and we'll let it chug for a little bit. But by creating a couple of small spheres, I think you'll start seeing that a little bit more of the variety. And then we'd have to put it all inside of a volume builder to merge the skins, but we need at that point we could bake it down and we'd save another version of it. But let's let this run. We're gonna let this run for a few frames. I should have. That's still fine. It'll run, but it's not gonna visually refresh until we turn these off, and we can turn those on in the end. Yeah. So yeah, these will start running, and honestly, I probably want there to be like 4 times, 5 times as many polygons on here, because the sharper they are, the more that they'll be able to like get in the nooks and crannies. Because we're going to get these little voids right now because we're kind of limited to the resolution of the bubbles that we're feeding in.
Right.
But you can see already on the center one, I should point with a mouse, you can see it's taking on more of a square shape because it's how these are interacting with each other that's actually going to determine it.
Like one's getting a little further in.
Yeah, like you can see how this is taking on more complex shapes, and those more complex shapes are going to be representative of how we're getting like a triangular shape here, and you can get what seems like very straight lines, because if you take one bubble in the center and you put one bubble on top, one on the side, like essentially on each face, you get like a rounded cube bubble in real life. So that's kind of what we're going for here.
Totally. Yeah, it's a great way to get the shape. What if he was just talking about that treehugger.com link, not this image?
That's entirely possible. So this is super inflating. That's crushing down maybe a little bit. I don't know for sure with the soft body, but it's possible that these larger ones have a heavier density, and so they're bullying the smaller ones more. That might be, it might not be. I don't know that for sure. But this is pretty much at the end of the simulation. I'm going to pause it, and just to make Nick happy, we'll bake it down.
Yes.
So I think I can just straight up make that editable. And now we just get our final mesh. But, of course, now we'll save it as a new version, so we can always go back to that one if we need to. And now we got this mesh. I do want to just really quickly...
Looks like it didn't bake it down properly.
Of course it didn't. Well, dang it.
Do we have to do it?
That's why we don't bake it down.
You can go back. got your 1B or 1A.
Nope. Well, I didn't save it when I was at the baked state.
Oh, didn't you undo it when you... You can probably undo it still here.
We'd have to run the sim again.
Oh, yeah,
you can't undo a baked state.
Right.
But it went up to 25. It can be a pain to get the mesh.
Should we do an actual cache on the tag?
Yeah, you can, but even that can be weird. But yeah, we should cache it. So we'll just drop this to 25 frames and cache all, bake all. So, yep. My bad. I should have known it would.
I mean, I wouldn't have
pop out with that, but I should know.
Yeah.
No, I have a tutorial that's going to be coming out very soon. I just finished recording all the extra details, and it's a 3-part cloth simming tutorial about creating wrinkles and like pulling it off of objects, doing like product reveals with it.
Have you tried the X particles dynamics yet?
Yeah, a bit, definitely a bit.
Would it be faster than this for like this kind of a situation?
I wouldn't trust X particles for this kind of simulation because X particles only deals with the radius around a particle and not the surface. Where Cinema is worried about, like, if you make a triangle, it doesn't just care about the 3 points on the triangle. It cares about the face. So I don't. The XP dynamics can do a lot of cool things, but there are certain things where I just think there's a limitation. Also, I just might not know it that well. So maybe you can do some really cool, crazy things, but I felt like I was running into some limitations pretty quickly with certain things I was trying to do. And I just know Cinema 4D's regular dynamics is like one of my specialties, is spending lots of time in that. So,
no doubt. Yeah.
So I just tend to trust that process more because I know how far we can push it. Simulations at 83%, almost there. And then let's see, I haven't been scrolling down on the chat, so let's go down and see what people have been chatting about.
Little 2 minutes, he says.
2 minutes. Yeah, I guess that's true. I was just going to show the.
Hey,
inflating.
quiet you.
Yeah. Well, it was going to be 2 minutes when it was just, okay, here's my idea. We'd inflate spheres.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, well, do you want to make it, try and render it and get the look a little bit? So that's where
we don't have to go
ran
too
off
deep.
the rails.
I think your song is weak.
The Low Tech is saying XP circle packing. I thought XP circle packing. Well, no. See, XP circle packing.
That's 2D, right?
That's 2D for one, and then even if it was 3D, it's just a series of spheres packed into a space. They're not inflated. So yeah, you could use the circle packing if it did work in 3D. You could use circle packing to fill a box with a bunch of spheres that don't touch each other, but then you need to inflate them. So that wouldn't really save anything. But in any case, this finished. It's baked. Let's see how it did. Wait, why is it not? Oh, I just had to refresh. Oh no, I undid so many times that
shouldn't it be baked though? Okay.
Oh, it is baked, but I had this one sphere was escaping at the top.
It's fine. Just let's ignore it.
But we should. I'm going to save it, and then we should be able to make that editable. Nope, even that forgets it. This is something I've run into where Cinema 4D simulations can.
Yeah, if you have a bake, we should be okay with that though. We can just use this.
That's true. But what we're going to do is next was
to mesh it. Yeah, that's gonna.
Yeah, but that I think will still continue to work. So we need a builder, we need a mesher, and we'll see if this works because this always ends up being a little bit troublesome because it doesn't see interiors. And we're probably going to need a crazy resolution here to.
If a fog.
It might actually need to be, but it's currently not returning anything, and that could be that we wanted to maybe bake that down, and it doesn't want to bake down. We're starting to get in the weeds on this one a little bit. The resolution I would think would be fine. I'm going to set it down even lower, 0.2.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we'll say 0.2. Calculating.
You take more risks with your calculations than I.
I mean, it should only take. It should take 20 times longer than the previous one did.
And Peggy for a risk taker.
But even it's not seeing it, and I think that it could have to do with.
Yeah.
like using mesh points. Oops, so it's hiccuping. It's
the fact that oh yeah, right.
Yeah, it's starting to get a little dangerous. So I'm going to turn it off. It's going to take a second to do a refresh, but it should turn off. It's definitely choking on. Jump up. There we go.
Let me share your viewport's seeing everything correct.
It's just this volume builder is not doing it. So if turning this off, we should see this. So
Yeah.
there's no reason that the volume builder wouldn't show
Right,
up.
it
But
should be
we want those to blend into each other, and they're just not going to do that. If we ignore it, then we end up with two thin surfaces, so it's not going to be exactly the same.
Mhm.
I mean, we just throw this overall thing into a subdivision surface, and you should be able to continue with what you were doing. But it's just not, they're not going to be blended, so we might get, instead of a single thin wall, there might be like a double wall there. And besides that should be fine.
Let's see what this looks like, huh?
Now it didn't, you see they're still very rounded, but if you were to spin around to an angle that you see it a little more flat on, we might get more of the shape. And it also might go to that you'd fly inside of one of the bubbles.
Getting some there.
Yeah. Those interior ones are not.
We can probably, where am I at? We could probably hike up some of the stuff here. I didn't actually change the setting at all yet. Let's just toggle this around, see what happens. There you got some. So it's almost, but in this setup at least, it's all about, let's just see what lowering the opacity does too. Kind of curious if that will just make it all. Nope. Keeps it. Should play with the reflection angle more.
Is it blurry? Yeah, kill off all the blur from just for the test. Could you try flying inside of one of the bigger
bubbles, that's a good point.
and then look towards the center?
Mm-hmm. I'm actually, one nice thing to do in some of these is to go to quick shading, although it doesn't seem to matter here. Oh, constant here. Let's go the other side where there's not as big of a light hitting it.
So it's not, the resolution isn't amazing, but.
Let's give it a minute here. You can also try toggling off some of these lights. Maybe I have too many. There you go. Or something.
Yeah. I feel like we are on the right path, and I think there's not enough resolution, so we're seeing a lot of jankiness in these angles. But you start getting these straighter lines revealing, and we've got a more complex shape in the middle.
Anything with a Fresnel that might do anything interesting that we could pipe in? Do you have your hotkey hooked up to this?
I don't know what that means.
There's
all default.
Oh, okay. So there's a hotkey. I usually set a hotkey to connect the node to the output, so you can hit something really quick and just see what the actual. Oh, you know what? We're in the actual. We're inside. We're inside of it. So I don't think the normals will let us work like that. I could be wrong, but I mean, I'll just twiddle around for a minute here. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna work like that. Let's see, connect it back to output. Does this get us far enough to?
I think that's as far as we're going to go with this one.
Yeah.
Well, even that little bit of blur, you can see where the lines are starting to get revealed. Mm-hmm. But you can see, wiggle mouse around here. Like right around this area, there is, that's where those should be like touching.
Yeah.
If we had subdivided enough times.
Right. So just with some better geo, we might get closer. Let me just try lowering this reflection angle super tiny. And seeing what...
Dean is asking, how would you assign a hotkey to that as you're talking about?
Oh man, Dean. I think you would do it just the way you assign any other hotkey. And then you would go to, customize commands. You would find the command for connect node, and then you would assign this to, I think I have mine set to like Alt W.
As long as it doesn't do something else.
I shouldn't. It should tell you. So now if you're in here, you can hit Alt W and just really quickly see parts of your node tree.
Magic.
And jump around.
It's crazy there isn't the built-in shortcut for that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. You know what? Like my hotkeys are such a hodgepodge of like, I'm not sure if I set them or if someone else did.
Actually, that's true. Yeah, when you develop a plugin, I don't think you're allowed to make a hotkey. Like,
really,
the user has to do that. You can't override it because it's what Maxon set it or what the user sets it.
I just cranked it, so here you go. But yeah, and let's actually kill the roughness before we. All right.
I kind of like the roughness does clean that. The rough adding in the roughness is making it so that our low poly is more hidden.
Yeah.
Because it's sharpening everything up, and you could put a little bit of that roughness back in.
Mm-hmm. This is also like the most basic of shaders. Like if we were to actually tweak some other pull out some other curvature and things like that, we could probably get a lot of, and this should work within a space. Because it's,
well, what would curvature?
Well, I guess I would have to actually, yeah. So you could.
Well, that's getting more into the faking it territory instead of making it real. Because
I think
curvature, a bubble is just a bubble. It's
but I think
material.
it will. Yeah, but you can control the contact points more so. So you could actually go in, and I think you'd have to use opacity with this. So if we actually went in here, and maybe we drove this with some kind of a hotter. Oh no, it's kind of working. If you actually drove this with opacity more, I mean, yeah. Is it physically correct? Probably not, but.
Yeah, that's where.
Let me see opacity, and then if you actually get in here with opacity, I've actually done some stuff just really similar to this recently, but I have to actually I would have to plug it in. Oh, you know what I'd have to do? I'd have to plug this into opacity. So you'd plug this into your opacity level, and then you could actually start to drive like connections more. This might work better with a luminant texture just because I think these values are going to get really, these samples are super high. But yeah, now you could actually start to you can clean up just an area of it.
Yeah, I think
it's going to be a little hard to show right now.
Yeah.
But
stylistically, this might improve it, but I think you're getting out of the realm of reality.
Yeah,
more into like a stylized.
Right. That's true. That's where I focus those.
Yeah. Oh no, that's cool. But once you do that, you've now lost me. I can't follow any further because it's now not the logic of that.
But yeah, but personally, I would mix. Put this back up to full. But I would mix this kind of a shader with another shader actually that just highlights the connection, the gaps more to just accentuate that. If that's the look we're going for. Yeah. That's how I would approach it.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to jump on to another question here, although just for fun, because why not? Let's let this be calculating while we're picking the next question, and we'll try and run a higher poly version of it. So we're going to kill all of those bonus things. And I guess we're inside of the simulation now. So let's go back out here. Make sure that this sphere was a little bit more inside there. And honestly, the more bubbles that we put in, the better it would be. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to sneak one more in to a corner. Whee! Shrink. Up. Over. Oh, not that. They shouldn't be intersecting. Okay, I'll just put that one last one in so we get a corner. And then, just to be sure, I'm going to go to density. I'm going to go to mass rather and change it to not world density, but a custom mass. And now they're all set to the exact same mass. So it doesn't care about the relative scales of them. So that might make them behave a little bit better.
I feel like C4D doesn't care about mass as much as it should.
There's a lot of times where it doesn't feel like it cares about it. And suddenly it super cares. I found that out with a cloth. Yeah. Changing the mass dramatically changes the way connectors behave and springs behave, like to a huge degree. But we'll just let this bake actually, and then we will start clicking questions and we'll see if we end up with anything nice there because the render will still be the same. So bake all. Actually, did we clear it? Yeah, clear our cache, bake all. All right, back to the questions. So does anybody post anything down here again? Let's say some people are chatting with each other. And then
I think someone asked me about a shader that I made if you go a little earlier on. But it could be part of that chat you lost.
Realistic, tackle, roulette wheel. Digital Donut was linking to another roulette wheel. Is that the same one again? Oh, it looks like somebody has a tutorial on making it. Tear this into the correct window. So somebody might have a tutorial on making it. If this is being recommended by whoever put the link in there. Who put the link in there? Roulette wheel. Why did I lose it? Oh, Digital Donut was recommending it. I am not going to currently click and watch any of this because I don't want, if we do tackle it, I don't want, I don't take other people's tutorials, but making up from completely scratch, I'd be okay with. Oh man, so many people are asking like cloth questions. What's with all the cloth questions, everybody?
Seagulls. What's this mean? To give.
How to do the seagulls. Let's see what this link does. It's a very in the weeds.
Yeah, right.
link. Let's go ahead and paste it and see if it actually pops up.
It's like very similar.
Seagulls. Didn't he say seagulls?
It's pretty much what we're doing right now.
Please break down how to do the seagulls.
Is that a metaphor?
Am I? Yeah. Is my brain not making a connection here? What do you mean seagulls?
Just like Magic Guy, he sees seagulls.
Is there a seagull in there?
Yeah.
I see a Voronoi and duels, whatever that means. I mean, that's cool. I like it, and I can think of ways of making this.
That's where
even in cinema.
Yeah, maybe that X particles packing tool could be a good starting point to actually start pushing 2D stuff around.
We wouldn't even have to do that. No plugins required.
Oh,
but it would turn into.
This is too similar to the last one, I think.
Yeah, I think people are kind of in their. That's where their brain is at. I think this actually might be connected to that. Whoever posted this, post it again next week when it's just me, and we can tackle this because I know exactly how to make it. So definitely post this one again. All right, jumping around to questions. You're posting again. Let's see. And then Terry does have a link for the model of the roulette wheel because he really wants us to tackle that because he couldn't get it. I was chatting with him. He couldn't get it working. I was like, oh, I love dynamics. This would be fun to do. Low Tech is saying that was the wrong link. Oh, seagulls. This is the follow-up to the seagull question. It's that same guy that we actually were. I think when Amador was over, we had the same guy. He really likes seagulls. It's from.
He likes looping, which I do
Shapiro,
too.
Shapiro.
Oh, like the little Easter.
But it's another. It's another. Is this another infinite loop?
Looks
zooms in.
like
It's gonna zoom in,
it's
and
a really
once it
long
gets
loop.
to long loop, and then finally the island comes up. So he's really great at flamingo and seagull-based loops. Now specifically, you're asking. I like that you asked a more specific question, which is, what about the seagulls? You get these dancing seagulls.
Looks like they're all almost on the same beat too. Like they're not even that different.
If we had the audio on, there's probably like some specific beat that they're hitting.
But I mean, they're not even offset that much, if they at all. So that's just about doing some character animation.
Yeah, it's just building a rig. I mean, if you wanted to, you could keyframe it, or you could potentially build it with dynamic connections and then drive the body and let the rest of it follow, or some sort of hybrid of the two. It's a detailed character rigging question, so not great for a live stream.
That would start as like a modeling question.
Yeah, it's modeling and then rigging and then animation before you even get there. So thanks for the link, but not something we can tackle right now. Scrolling. What's my YouTube chat? There it is.
What's this one here?
Zaza is asking at 33.
Oh, this guy's specifically calling out a shader of mine too.
Oh yeah, let's do that because this is specifically calling out. Have Nick go through this shader. So let's see what we get.
I assume it's mine.
Yeah.
Oh man, this shader, yeah. Okay.
Oh my goodness. There's even the espresso over there.
This is just the smallest portion. I
remember you guys did a whole presentation.
Yeah. I guess that wasn't recorded. We had a meetup here in Chicago where we kind of walked through some of how this stuff was made. But so basically, I'm not sure if I can zoom in more. Maybe is there a way to zoom in on? Let me try something.
Control scroll wheel or that. Yeah.
It doesn't really.
The res isn't going to get much better.
No, but basically we had. For all of these guys, we had maybe one shader, maybe two, because maybe like the hats were harder to identify or something like that. But basically, we had a system set up where we used Redshift does this thing with object IDs where we can just do it really quick. Have you ever done this in this channel? Have you done like a so I won't go into too deep on it, but basically we would honestly start with something like this with the characters where we'd just lay them all out, and we would maybe set up an offset or something like that. But we would basically assign like for each part of the where's that at? Here?
Probably.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we basically made like little outfit sets. So we'd have a set for I'm also trying to remember as I look at this,
Yeah.
but we had a set for
presentation
skin.
was like 2 years ago.
I know, yeah. We had a set for skin color. We had a set for actual clothing combinations, because I think the clothing combinations might change per person. Although we wanted to make sure that we could actually specify what somebody was wearing.
When you say clothing combination, do you mean just the color, or do you mean like physical geometry?
So yeah, there's different geometry sets. There's 5. So these are all bobs. There's a set about how many bobs there are in compared to how many PayPal stores or something like that. And we had 5 different base bob geometries, where there's like a stubby one, like a tall lanky one, and then there was like a whole slew of different shader texture based clothing options, along with actual geo based. So if you see here, you can't zoom in. I mean, we can go to the actual page, but if you zoom in, there's like geo for his sleeve, so he actually gets cooler shadows and hairstyles. So long story short is we had different systems using Redshift shader switches, which are sorry, no hotkeys, guys. But basically in Redshift, you can go in here and define a user data. You can use this color user data. Or you can define it by integer. And integer lets you it lets you target something with an object ID. So you can actually pop in a Redshift tag on here and set this ID to whatever you want. So we'd have a ton of IDs, ID 15, and this would pipe through a shader switch. If this is getting too deep and too sporadic, let me know. But basically, you use this ID. So you're using this ID to control which shader it's choosing from. And then we'd have a different texture popping into each shader. So if I was to plug this into the selector, then you could use, like maybe shader 3 is red. And I won't use a cloner. I'll just move these around. It's been a little while. It's been a little bit since I did this quite like this. But if these all were set to 15 and just 2 was set to 3, and this shader switch was wrong thing. And this shader switch was plugged in. I think you need to plug it into a ramp first. One of these things needs to be. We'll just plug it in directly for now and see what happens. But and then let's see here.
They're not applied yet.
Oh, you know what? It's also not. It's hitting. It's starting from 0, so you have to offset it by 1, and then actually apply the shader, like Chris said, which is a good step.
That's a very common mistake.
And then we'll just add a null to this. I've also been using Unity a lot, so like my brain's a little scrambled right now from all of that. And then you're getting all the white shader there. And then if we check out our ramp, you actually don't need a ramp for integer, but we have to actually specify that it's going to pull an object ID. And something like that should work. Sorry, I'm having trouble controlling my space here. Oh, let's see here. Let's just make a couple of these red, make sure there we go. It's just offset differently.
The offset didn't offset.
Yeah, it's kind of strange.
Maybe it might make sense because it's object 0, 1, 2, unless you set the ID specifically.
It should have worked, but maybe it is, and it just took a while. But anyways, that's how we did it. And yeah, it's just like the super detailed version of that, where we had some kind of a rhyme and reason to where, we would target just certain things. And we had like 52 textures. Redshift is really slow with textures, hard to preview. It was a great system, a very slow system. It was really I couldn't think of another way to do it, but it was hard to use. Does that help?
Jake is asking, what are you up to in Unity?
Just trying to get my head around it. Honestly, I like making games. I want to make games, and I know Chris shares a similar hobby.
Yeah, Nick and I have had conversations.
Is that a secret hobby, or is that?
It's not secret. I've never really talked about it because it wasn't relevant. Yeah. Well, I mean, but it's years ago at this point.
But it's kind of cool. C4D plays with it in not a great way, but you can still like, porting over stuff is pretty interesting.
Yeah. Oh, it opens cinema files natively.
Mm-hmm.
It behaves incredibly similar.
Yeah.
It has,
right.
I'd say it has similar sensibilities
Mm-hmm.
to Cinema 4D of like the way the object manager works and the way things combine, and the code even feels intuitive to like kind of espresso-y
totally, yeah,
type things.
It's also weirdly ahead on some things. Like built in, Aces is the default.
Yeah.
For some of the color management. It's just
nice.
really weird how far ahead and behind it is in certain things. That being said, I would never render a project in it.
I want to see if that scene file baked all the way through. Go to the end. We'll see what that final shape is. So we get the better resolution, and then we have to turn on the connect, the surface, and the subdivision.
Can you try increasing the thickness of that? Maybe that would give us more. Or is that going to break your volume?
No, the volume's not doing anything.
Oh, okay.
Intentionally avoided it.
Right.
You can see that we're getting the shape a little bit better. You can see how it's sharper now. So it's turning more into a triangle. So that part is working better. But once again, I feel like we just need more and more and more geometry.
Yeah.
And at certain angles, you're going to get certain things. And the lighting might need to be incredibly specific as well. But that does give you the shape.
Yeah.
I'll save the scene file just for anyone on Patreon who might be interested at that step. Which, by the way, anybody who might be new in the stream, I have a Patreon set up. And when this is all done, you get early access to the video and you get all the scene files that we save. Thanks, Pro Tools, for linking up Nick's information there in this company. Let's try. I know I do want to tackle Terry's roulette wheel, but what's your take on the roulette wheel idea?
My take?
Yeah.
Oh, on just making the physics of it, or
yeah. Do you have any
I mean, honestly, it seems doesn't it seem a little straightforward? Like you would just have a rigid body on it, and then you would just use some forces to spin it around the side, and just,
or even initial
initial velocity
blast that really high subframes probably, and let them jump around.
Yeah, and you want it to settle, so you're not trying to like. And I mean, it's real physics. Like it's just one person adding one force.
Yeah.
And then letting it settle.
And then the wheel spins, which is adding energy for the bounce.
I mean, you could have some fun with how the roulette wheel, like what's on it, to see like if the ball can do something interesting.
Yeah.
Like one of those locking mechanisms where it has to like find its lock to find the middle or something like that.
I'm not sure what you mean.
I don't know, like a boat lock. How it has to like it keeps spinning until another like gap opens up, and then it falls down into that.
Oh, right.
And then it falls down into one more level deep. That's a way to like take it into a different area, I guess. That's a tricky one. It's tricky when I have a guest over. And sorry, Terry, for promising to look at it, but it's just a tricky one to do when there's a guest here, because it'd just be me here talking about it. And I'm super interested in how much could you make the dynamics controllable, or it's like, oh, this one's too bouncy, this one doesn't spin long enough, this wasn't too, like, that's interesting to me, but that's not fun doing that when there's a guest here. Alex Rocker, what do you got here? It's a link to Buck. Replicate some shaders like this and some tips on your workflow. No problem. Replicate some Buck shaders within a. But yeah.
All right. Well,
stuff's awesome.
Obviously, Buck.
I saw this the other day.
What is the?
Oh, it looks like it has like a halftone pattern on it or something. So just like noisy, colorful noise.
I don't think any audio. I don't know. I've actually gotten demonetized because of a certain like Instagram playing audio. Yeah. Ooh, but do you see?
So this is cool. So like the texture, like the pointillized texture is more metallic than the more of like the bumpy flat surface. So you could like set up a shader that, has like an interesting roughness map or something like that.
Dude, one of the things that's most gorgeous here to me. Yeah. Look at the edge here. Look at these imperfections on the edge. It's not perfectly straight. And that could be an alpha, or there could be physical geometry there. Yeah. It could be variation in the thickness of it. But man, that's crazy.
Sometimes what's cool to do with that stuff is to actually lay out. So if you have UVs, you can actually have, especially if it's just a plain thickness, you could have a UV where you kind of shrink everything in on the actual texture map, and then you have like a rough edge around all of it in the shader, in the opacity channel.
Oh yeah. But Alex specifically replicates some shaders like this, but every one of the like that is a different shader to that, which is a different
That
shader
green
from
one's
the
interesting.
paper, which is so if you had a specific one you have in mind, like each of these would be like even this one, like that's.
Is there a way we can team up on one of these?
Iridescent. I mean, it's not my area of expertise.
Go up to the balloon here, or down, I guess. Or yeah, right here is great. That balloon one's really interesting, with all the little creases and stuff, and then also like the green, kind of like a glitter texture in some ways, like a sequence.
Whee! Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, that's really cool. The icons morph into pillows.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like that texture is really interesting to me.
Yeah, the sequiny one. This is this material and that material almost feel like the same one. This one just has a heavier bump and it tiled a lot.
They're probably all the same one, just dialed in differently.
Yeah,
except for those two on the right. Those
the transparent ones and this very metallic-y one. I don't know.
We could bookmark it if.
Well, it just goes to. Let's see. He didn't shout out if there was something specific. Alex, if you got a specific one you were thinking. That helps because these broad ones, it's, like this is another completely unrelated material. That would be a completely unrelated material. I've always had trouble trying to emulate this kind of thing where it's just like, oh, it's these cool, subtle gradients and all that. It's like, I would just assume that this is just a reflection.
Yeah, it looks like
then it's all about what it's reflecting that gives you that shape. And it's just so particular in the angle. I've never gotten them to look good when I try and do it. But you get something like this, and that just turns into like a spackle type texture.
Yeah.
Very tiny, very.
Knowing how far to push the bump map versus displacement and all that kind of stuff. A lot of it's lighting too, honestly.
Yeah, the gorgeous lighting everywhere.
Yeah, like go back to that top one for a minute right there. Like the lighting on there, it's probably like actually. So the bottom light's obviously a white light. I guess you can't see my hand, but
here you can
this top part where it's getting this. It feels like there's some kind of a light source that's actually purple on the top here.
Yeah.
Along with a shader that's actually a gradient around this thing. So it could be both. Although this is a white highlight, so I could be wrong about that part of it. But definitely reflecting something purple as well as being something in the diffuse channel.
That background, that purple and blue background could be a big giant sky gradient, and it could be actually reflecting the
not
background.
just a comp. Here, this is pretty telling here too, where this is like something is reflecting here. I think I don't think that's all just a gradient because the way it falls off, but super cool. And also this is this like a translucent material? Man, they put a lot of detail into these.
2 renders. Well, you're saying you're behind in time, so I'm not sure which when you say I like those two, the sphere with no center. Oh yeah, so this one specifically is asking about that one. I mean, man,
you could maybe set up something similar.
I got nothing, man. This would all be you.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean,
I can model up some geometry that's going to behave a little bit like this, and then you can just take over and try and make it look awesome, which is completely fine with me.
That's fine.
Let's see what we can do. All right, I'm going to steer here.
Make sure my clients aren't freaking out.
Oh, yeah. Back to standard layout. And new file. Close the door because there's a dog barking. All right, so I don't want to make exactly what they had, but let's do a little bit of fun geometry here. I'm actually going to leave this on a standard sphere, which is not something we usually do, because that's going to enable us to make some fun geometry from it. I'm going to hit U. Oh, we can do loops, but I'm going to try UM. Actually, UM doesn't work on polygons, now I think about it. That's path selection. So looks like we're on the regular old selection tool. Too bad. If I click the middle mouse button, I can shrink my cursor a little bit. And it's going to make it easier to just select some of them. So I'm going to do a series of little stripes, I think. Just to, because I had one big one. So we'll do something like that. And then I'm going to do a full loop up here. And so we'll do something like that for this part. I mean, we'll probably only be focused on one section, but just for fun, let's add some extra geometry over here. Have that go up one higher, a little bit lower. And then another little stripe just for fun. Okay, so something as simple as that. And now I'm just going to hit the letter D for extrude. And we're going to extrude these all inward a little bit. And actually, that by itself, that will go really far. If we take this entire thing and put this into the subdivision surface, you're going to see what I think is pretty similar to some of the curvature we see here, like this one right there. Although now I think about it, we're supposed to be punching a hole through it. So let me undo And I don't want to lose the selection, so I will, what am I blanking? Set selection is hiding under selection. That makes sense. Set selection. Okay, so we'll do a loop. And actually, if I want to perfectly get the outer ring, is that center ring or is it 2 center? Yeah, like that. So I'm going to grow. And then UI to invert. So now I know those two should be identical. Now I'm going to hit B for bridge, and I have to drag from one side to the other. And now we should have our perfect ring traveling through. Excellent. And now if I double click, we get the selection back again, and just deselect this one polygon right there. And I can do that again inside of a subdivision surface. D for extrude.
Modeling tools I just never use.
Yeah, it's a good tool, but it's very specific.
Yeah.
So if we do, we can do a soft selection like that. I can hit U, F, and then deselect a handful of these. Actually, I want to keep that one. We'll do that one, and get rid of that one. Okay, so now what we could do if we want to sharpen up this edge, I could hit D and do a second extrude and just do a very tiny one. And the instant I do a second extrusion, you're gonna see it's going to create this incredibly sharp line around the entire thing. So I like doing that kind of thing. And then here I can hit UL, and we'll get a nice selection around this. I could do the same thing, hit the letter I for inner extrude. I'm gonna increase this above 90 degrees. If I do the same thing here, you're gonna see we get a very different piece of geometry here, where this one curves in and it gets very sharp on the bottom. And this one has very sharp edges top and bottom. And yeah, there's just all sorts of really cool ways of just doing tiny extrusions where you can get some really nice looking fun geometry. And I really love the I don't know what the word would be, but like a like a hard, it's like a hard edge, but it's a little bit soft. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't know where how to say that, but MG, we can use the iron tool here and actually shrink this a little bit, and you can see I can directly control the softness of that. And then just to wrap up let's look at the references just a little bit. So we have a nice little sphere hanging out up there. These would be rounded. I mean, they are going to get rounded automatically, but I can hit UL and let's put a proper bevel on that edge. So MS for bevel. I'll just pull out that edge, and the rounding should actually, do the rest of the job there. Although to make that curve look a little bit better, we'll probably have to do an inner extrude here, UL, to do a loop selection on the inside, do I for another inner extrude. And that should suddenly sharpen up that edge. Actually, surprisingly, it's doing it less than I thought it would. So we might need to do 2 of them. Yeah, there we go. Now you can see we get this nice curve with very even looking geometry there. And then we'll hit D just to do one extrusion on the inside, just for fun. What do you think? You might be able to work from something like this?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And then I don't know if we need that extra little shape on the edge, but here, now you got your weird, that was my just kind of weird techie modeling. Let's see what the angle is. So yeah, let's make this 90-degree rotation as well.
That's how you check angle.
I had just lost. I was just completely lost when it came to angle. So figure popped into my head.
Shrink that guy down and keep him inside of that thing for now.
Oh yeah. It's like he's running inside there.
All right.
He's stuck in the tumble dryer. Okay. Yeah, I think that'll pretty much do it for that'll do it for my little part of this. I'm going to give it a quick save just so that that's ready. I don't know what to call this, but let's just call it Fun Buck Textures. And then I probably should have created a couple of selections for you while I had those, but yeah, I'll let you steer that.
It's okay. We can try and target it some fun way. All right. If you're just tuning in, we're in the Rocket Lasso Corona bunker. All right. I'm going to look at this image one more time, okay? Yep. Is this one here? Yep. All right. So we need a spackle texture. This one's a little bit more
like droplets, and then it's pearlescence, but
it's like a Voronoi texture that's like organized more. And then obviously it has a little sheen to it. This part we're going to ignore. A sheen and then like a really reflective texture.
Yeah, the environment this lives in is going to be really important.
So let's start with the spackle one, because I think I have a good handle how to do that.
Cool, because I have no idea.
So
I guess Redshift now has the Cinema 4D noise.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess I would use Voronoi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that one I actually might just use something more chaotic.
Sure.
So yeah, let's just start with honestly, I'll just start with the normal shaders so I can see fast. And we'll just pop some noise on here. And you know what? Actually, since mapping is such a big part of this, I think we're going to have to try planar map it. Just because without proper UVs, it's going to be really difficult. It's going to be really difficult to get it all going. So let's just pick our...
You also potentially do a cylindrical mapping on it if you wanted to, but...
Yeah, you could for the outside. And I guess you could, if you were more selective with it, yeah, but I don't feel like doing that. Yeah. Should we make this let's do Redshift.
Whatever tricks
Let's pop open. I don't always use brute force, but we'll do that for now.
That's my go-to. If you have any other recommendations,
I will sometimes do a irradiance cache, and I honestly, I never get flicker, so I'm kind of spoiled. So I'm actually going to crank this up a little bit. And then I'll keep this slow. That's fine. This is all fine. I honestly don't get too crazy with the settings on this stuff.
Yeah.
Let's do
Alex is asking if, kind of on your day-to-day, do you prefer Redshift or Octane?
Right now, we're doing a project that has both in it. So you can show me to the nearest window, and I will jump out of it. But we do... honestly, I think I prefer Redshift at this point, but I do think Octane probably looks better. All right, sorry guys, I'm just getting some basic stuff down, so I don't want to change it later. Yeah.
Focal again.
Yep. Let's do let's do more of a 60mm lens here. Let's just get inside of it. Maybe we'll have like a little.
He's just peeking out.
Yeah, we'll maybe rotate this guy a little bit. And now he's doing his own thing.
He's doing his
yeah. I set this up as a square too, because maybe this is an Instagram post for you. Yeah. Okay, so looking back on it, let's set up just a quick light. So it's a light down here, then maybe a reflection up here, just to start with. I just like to do that because when we're testing stuff, it just helps me out. Because that's kind of like, we're going after something specific here.
Yeah. Well, to throw it back out there, while we do want to kind of capture the essence of what they're doing, we're trying to make it look different as well. We don't need, we won't use our colors. We
That's
don't
true.
need to.
Yeah, we're not gonna.
Like they've got little splotches, but ours could be different in
right. Yeah, we'll just
ways we want to
change it up. Anyways, we'll do one light source here, and then I might just have like a really big one at the top because I do like when it's backlit. I'm just gonna crank this down. Oh, right. Why doesn't your keypad work?
I don't know. I just never use it.
Oh, really?
Maybe it just has to be turned on, or
what's wrong with you?
The way Windows is configured.
All right. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this stuff right now. But let's just get just almost the same lighting setup as the last one, honestly. Just because, yeah, that's fine. We might actually put a wall back there, but this is cool for now. And we can just pop it in, it's doing something.
It's also cinema material.
Yeah, it'll convert it, but let's just do just a normal material, and we'll pop it on our guy, and we'll crank the lights down a little bit. So one thing that's important too for this stuff, and then we're going to change this, is that you want something in your environment. Oh, is this on there? We're going to put that back on there in a second. You want something in your environment to reflect. If you want a really contrasted image, you can keep it as black, but right now it's defaulting to either a black or a gray, and I forget how Redshift defaults to, but we'll put a dome light in, and that will automatically fill it in a little bit. And I'm just going to crank this down, even though we're going to use solid color, so I'll actually just turn the tint down and just give us a little something to fill it in. And actually, we'll use a color. We'll use like a pink or something. Let me make it a little vibrant. Okay, you can already tell you're getting some hues in there. And I'm just going to crank this down in base properties, and we'll just put the reflection down a little bit, and we'll leave it as white for now. We'll add like a little bit of roughness to it, maybe not that much actually. All right, let's work on our noise texture. All that's going to change. So we'll use, if this is one of the newer versions, noise, C4D noise should be in it now. I forget where exactly.
Probably under C4D.
It might be a texture. It's max on noise.
Max on noise.
Yeah.
Max on noise.
Max on noise. I got a hotkey now. I can just go right into this thing. Look at that. For some reason, it automatically tiles better. I guess the noise.
Well, it's a 3D noise.
Yeah, I guess so. All right. So looking at this again, sometimes, I might just actually pull this off to the other side of the screen so I can see it better. But that's what we're doing.
There somewhere.
Did I change like the scale of it?
Yeah, I think it did change. The website adapted.
Okay, cool. So spackle texture. Sometimes what's good for that is like a Paxo or something like that. And then if you really crank it with the low clip, you can get something cool.
Especially if changing octaves.
Yeah, octaves are too high probably.
Yeah, low octaves will give you more uniform.
Mm-hmm. And let's see, where's my actual here? We're going to put this into quick. Actually, let's go constant for now.
For reference, you're trying to get that little outside splotchiness is what you're aiming for?
Yeah, I'm going to start with just the spackle texture first. Man, it's really hard to organize all this in one screen.
Everybody forgive Nick that there's not enough interface here to be able to see everything. We're trying to keep it on the stream.
I'm actually not gonna detail this stuff out too much because I think the defaults actually get us pretty close. But I'm gonna go a little bit down here. Sure, why not? Anyways, the main thing we want to accomplish is to plug. We're gonna so there's two ways to actually color this noise. We can actually color it here, or we can color it in a ramp, or we can do a layer shader. I'm gonna do a layer shader because, or layer effect here because it'll just be like a very simple way to just put a color on it. Actually, you know what? Sure, because we might use it later on, but this might be overkill. And then maybe I'll use this as a mask actually, just to get that color. And it's already there. Get this out of here. Maybe our base layer is more of a green guy here. Let's just make it a little nice green. Keep it vibrant. And then maybe our spackle is that's something that will be just super reflective. And then let's add more. If you want more, get this out of here. Yeah, sorry. If you want more detail, you can just, or more spackle, you can just like adjust where the high and the lows happen. We'll keep it here just to see it. And so what we're going to do is plug this in. So this is actually this is good for our, you know what? We're going to do this a little differently than I was actually intending to. So we're actually going to do two materials. One will be just the green. So we'll make this the green material. And one will be a super reflective metallic. And it'll be fully reflective, no roughness, a little bit of roughness actually. And then we'll crank up this, just something like 8. Very reflective. That means we'll
cartoony looking.
Kind of cartoony looking. Yeah, maybe that's why we, without adjusting our lights, a little roughness will go a long way on it actually. Yeah, that'll be good because that'll show on the.
Instantly looks nice.
Yeah, and then, so let's redo how we're doing this. We're just gonna use this as black and white maps now, and we're gonna. So one thing we gotta do is mix these two materials together. So we're gonna use a
material blender.
Yeah, between both of these.
Yeah, it's there.
Oh, there it is. Okay. I'm like Octane, Redshift. I don't know anymore.
Yeah.
So we'll do it the same way as that color layer. We'll just set our base color to layer 1, and we'll set our metallic sheen to the okay, wrong one. We'll set this to our base color, and we'll set this to our layer 1 color, and then we'll use this as the mask to determine what goes where. And then it might be inverted off the bat. I don't think it will be, but and this is your blend color.
Nice. Is a color layer you've got right there? Oh, okay. I thought it might not be.
So now it's just letting in the reflective material for just where those splotches are, and the other one's the normal thing.
Is there any preference for building it? You could make like one super material, but what you just did is make two separate materials.
Yeah.
Is there any cost you pay for making more than one material and blending it?
So the cost I find is that there's just some attributes that you can't map the same way. Like IOR, I found is hard to map differently. So if you do want to change it, it just gets a little bit more complicated. I think that in Redshift you could do it, and they actually have an Uber material. I'm not sure what version. Again, do you know what version this is?
It might still be the alpha version when they were like, hey, we added Cinema 4D noises.
Okay. So yeah, they actually, and you know what? I'm actually thinking of Octane now.
Yeah. Well, no, just keep going with what you got. I was
just
curious
I think in this, I think you would have no problem. I could certainly get this with one material. This is just how I like to work.
Sure. I was just wondering if there's an advantage or disadvantage to working one way or the other.
No, I think the advantage is just, for me, easier, faster access to all the stuff. I don't have to set textures for everything. But it can get more limited, especially if you're... Actually, I wonder if... There might be some other advantages, like how you can target things later on with tags and AOVs. But yeah, that's a whole separate thing. So the next part about this shader that was pretty crucial was gradient. So that's going to be in this material here. So a couple ways to do that. We could use, if it's not a linear gradient, we could use a really wide noise pattern to do it.
Yeah,
I think
jumped in my head.
I think I'll just do that off the bat. I don't think that's how I'll end up doing it. But so again, just Redshift sweet, because you can just go straight into the part of the node and just see what's going on. Whereas Octane can't do that. So honestly, I might just use a regular noise and then just go back to default settings. This nice and blotchy. Get the scale is kind of different here. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, they changed the interface, but nice in the beginning.
Yeah, like that.
Do they have a seed?
Oh yeah, let's change the seed up.
They just keep on clicking random and find a nice looking one.
Let's just start. Let's put some color in first and then see where it's up. So I might feed that into a ramp. It could be nice, right? And then we'll just pop this in here. In the ramp, you have to tell it what it is. So this is an alt, which is just not. What does that mean? It's just not.
It's an alternative.
Yeah, it's an alternative to whatever it wants to do inherently. This is also just one way we're going to do it. We're just baking a little bit of color into the diffuse, but we also want to control it with reflection too, I think. So we'll keep that in mind. So we're going to see what this is doing now. Okay, there we go. So you can tell it's doing a little something. Let's give this back our green color. Make it like let's make it lime. And then let's make the other part like more of a darker tone on tone thing. Maybe it's like a slightly, run that gamut maybe. That's looking pretty cool. I like I think it works for the most part. Theirs is more intentional. It's probably painted, honestly. It's a little bit more intentional. And what you could also do if you wanted to, hit H to frame it all up, you could mix this with another noise to actually give it a little bit more interest in some of those areas. I'm not going to do that though. In fact, I actually kind of want these to be a different color. So in this reflective shader, I'm going to change the reflection color to something like the same thing as the environment, just to like really hit home that it's a kind of an interesting color. Maybe I'll make it slightly. So now it's kind of getting more of, it's actually picking up, instead of reflecting white all the time, it's reflecting more of this tone, this tint. Yeah, so that's one area. Now the next, let's just keep that shader.
Save it as well.
Oh yeah, is it? Do I hit save?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. We'll call this our. Let's make this our outer texture, and then we'll make a new one for the inner. And so mapping this is going to be interesting. Let's see. Do you have anything saved? Oh, you got a little bit. We can grow this a little bit.
I think that's probably pretty much it. Set a selection there, and then it'll be.
Yeah. So
grow one.
You know what I might do actually? I'm going outside the books, guys. I'm going outside the playbook here for what I normally would do. So I'm going to add like a little more detail to it. Is that going to screw anything up?
No.
All right.
Kill it.
Let's see. I don't want to do that here actually.
Oh,
I'm on loop tool. Let me just make sure this is. Oh, so it's a little different on each side, or is
no,
it?
I guess.
Oh, okay.
I don't select. I think you might
Yeah.
have done one cut, or I don't
Gotcha.
know what happened.
So I'm gonna center this up, add a couple other segments to it. The reason I'm doing this is because I kind of want to play with. I kind of want to do, instead of doing a. Sorry, I'm stammering a little bit. And instead of doing just a selection, I might do either like a fall off or something a little more interesting. Maybe we'll use a force for it, or like a field.
I'm not sure what you're going for. So
Yeah.
I can't comment.
I just want it to fall off nice. So let's set a new selection. Let's just call this something like inner. And let's first of all get our materials working. So it's going to be the outer. This inner. I might revisit what I was doing there in a little bit. I might just try and get these working first.
Yeah, that you probably don't want a selection tag on that first one because that was just like the little interiors.
Right. Yeah. Got it. And then so let's just see what we got first. I'm just gonna shift hues for now. So on this ramp,
yeah, obvious that they're different.
I'll just make this purple thing, and actually that's
cool.
kind of sweet. All right, and then we'll make this yellow. Sure. Okay, and I might mix. Actually, this isn't. Yeah, it's fully metallic. That's fine. I mean, that already looks pretty good. I was gonna try and see if we could do like a vertex weight, and
okay, that's where the field. Like, how is field gonna tie in?
So that way, if I with the extra geo that I have here, I could actually go through and start setting intensities.
Yeah.
But we could also do it with. I'm honestly pretty new to. I'm pretty new to fields in general, just because we've been on art. Well, I guess I've been using them a little bit. You could do like a linear field or
linear field with that. You'd have the most control that way.
Yeah, and then you could rotate this, I guess. And probably do it. All right, I did find it. Wow.
right. We gave up a lot. Yeah.
So one way that I could do this is I could actually put all of this into one material and do another blend where I blend between the two to get a really seamless transition. That might be a good way to go. Let's try that first, I guess. But let me just get this working. So luckily Chris is here because I'm going to stumble on this stuff for sure.
You need your vertex map.
So let's just make a vertex map. I just need one, right? I don't even need to set it.
You can actually use a vertex color map.
Selection.
And then it can actually feed in the color instead of just a black and white.
I always just do this through the.
So do I. Point mode.
Yeah, let me just do set vertex weight. Okay, so on the field, we could say use fields, right?
You go into the vertex map.
Oh, right, the vertex map, and you say use fields.
Use fields, and now drag in your
pop
linear.
this guy in here.
Freeze.
Delete that guy.
There you go.
Now we got a vertex map, and then we probably want to remap this to be double-sided, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, go down to contour. Change contour mode to curve, and now you have that, so you can arc the middle.
It's probably a better way to do this.
That's pretty much what I have to do.
Okay.
Stripe down the middle.
And then let's bow this out so it's really tight. Great. Sure. That's probably not going to look as good, but we'll just do that. And then maybe, actually, I want to keep those curves. Make those really cool. So just to test it, I'm actually going to put this behind this for now. I don't want to look at that. And put on this because we want it to look pretty. And let's just test this with another material blend really quick. And we can, you know what? I'm not going to stack two of these together. I'm just going to add another blend to it.
Oh, there's more layers.
Can
you blend a bunch of materials and then blend those blended materials?
I think so. I do think you will run into issues though if you add too many, but I haven't really pushed it because I haven't really had a need to. But I'm going to put this in here and just see what this is doing off the bat. It's doing something. That's good.
It's there.
And then let's add another material. And let's do this one as like, you know what actually we could do? We could actually just do what I did in a more efficient way and just do another ramp with the same noise. Oop. I'm actually going to copy that ramp because I liked it. If this is taking too long, guys, I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. No, I mean, you're making something pretty, and I tend not to make pretty looking things. So
don't you say that about yourself. Okay, Chris Schmidt.
I'm not a technical guy.
Oh, you know what? I copied the wrong material. Oh, you know what? Well, I did, but we kind of need both to get that same look. But we'll just do this one for now. Pop this into the diffuse. I wish that new thing worked better.
It's already there.
Oh yeah. God.
Well, I mean, if you were in the new Maxon nodes, I think they're cleaner to work with because this is the old school espresso layout. I'm impressed that Redshift was able to make it work at all.
Right. It's actually not bad either. As far as like it working.
So even here, as you're trying to like scale them, it's like like it's 1 pixel's width worth of grabbing.
So this vertex map is it's our blend color. So that's our layer 2 blend color. And I'm pretty sure these stack on top of each other. So if we just plug this into layer 2, and then we look through it with our little hotkey, we are getting that new material, which is pretty cool. Yeah. And honestly, these selections are kind of useless now, huh?
No, but, well, the selection is still important if you want this to apply only on the inside, because you see it's currently applying on the outside.
That's true. Well. Yeah, that's true. So we'll do this and add a selection as well. So we'll get it right up on there. Now we have like a nicer fall off, which is pretty rad. The question is, I guess this still has to be a separate material, huh?
Does it?
Well,
I'm not sure what you're going for.
Well, I have to apply it separately to the outside so it doesn't hit it, right?
What is it?
Or you know what I could do? I could do 2 fields. I could do a spherical field, right? And then cut the outside off.
That's a crazy way to do it, but you totally could.
I don't know. Hey, man, this is like people are gonna. I'm gonna attempt this for just a second, and then did that work? Just without me doing anything?
I think it by default was a good scale and seems to have pretty much automatically worked.
Holy shit. Dude, for using fields for not that much.
Yeah, that's the second field ever.
That's like, yeah, okay, cool, fields. Right. Everyone use fields fast. Although, if you look at the reference, they actually do a hard line. But you know what?
No, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Right. You know what else I want to do kind of now? Just playing around. I kind of want to make this glow in the middle. I don't know why. Maybe I don't.
Once you create more,
sure. Let's actually give this glow. Now we're going off. We're gonna go do something a little different. Yeah, let's give this glow the same approach. Let's give this the actual. Let's make just that texture glow. So we're gonna
those little speckles.
Yeah. So
I have a different noise to recommend for this spec for these dots.
Yeah, man. Where did my stuff go?
Hit Control A and then
maybe I lost the actual shader.
I think it only focuses on what you currently have selected.
I guess so.
So zoom out more.
What's your hotkey for that?
I would just say Control A and then do the H you said focuses everything.
I'm going to save this first. It shouldn't.
Control A and then H, yeah.
So I have to have this selected to H should just do a full. Maybe it doesn't work in node view. H usually frames all though. So yeah. Oh my god.
That's a. I think that's an R21 bug where the viewport will suddenly go zip.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I never.
How do I? I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet. All right. Whatever I'm doing, I'm going to stop doing it.
Yeah. But you're constantly like twirling between 3 different shortcut keys.
So this is an area where we probably actually would want to blend to. I don't know if it's going to work. Let me just try it really quick.
Yeah, we'll find out.
So this blender is our base. This is going to be our mix now for the new blender. It's already all out there. This is our layer 1 mix now. Oh, you can click on 1 pixel?
Yeah, single pixel.
And then we're going to remove these 2 just for the time being. And we're going to plug this into our new layer 1. And I'm hoping this works. It doesn't. So you can't blend twice, apparently. Or I'm doing it wrong. Or no,
there's other layers that might be black. So layer 2 might be a black material. It's overriding everything.
Yeah, that's true.
So
let's just
turn off layer 2 or remove them.
Is that right though?
I don't know.
Blend color black. Black should be blending nothing, I think.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. You're at,
yeah,
you're at
I think we're outside of my comfort zone here, so I'm gonna undo to the point where I had it connected, and we'll just we'll do it like this, or we could do it as a separate shader if we need to. Although I'm not certain how that would blend if we did it as a separate shader, because it would need. We could do it. Yeah. So here, let's just dupe this. We'll have to use our selection now, which is going to look weird for a minute. And then we need to have this as with nothing on it, but also with inner on it. And then it should be fine. And then if we get rid of on the inner. So let me just try breaking these for a minute again. And then we've got our gradient still, and we have the inner still, and the inner should be working with the field still. And the reason it works is because we have basically this one's on the inside and the outside, and this one's just overriding it with the field, so it cuts off before it hits the edge. Anyways, now we can do a little bit something more interesting with this. So I'm gonna just redo all this Blender junk. Let's make a new one. Kill all the. Sorry if it's getting messy, guys. But this is our glowing material. I'm gonna put it as our base now. And then we're gonna use this to transition between the two. Actually, do I need to do that? Neither. It seems to be working. Let's just ignore that for now. All right. This is our reflective material with our holy God. I don't know where I went that time.
Yeah, you just have to zoom out and find it. I don't even know if scrolling works.
Okay, well, Redshift has a serious bug in R21,
I don't
huh?
think it's even Redshift. I think it's just like the espresso.
Really?
So, I mean, Meeks is saying H should still focus and all, but
It doesn't.
It's not.
Unless I use Control H or something.
No, well, don't start clicking random hotkeys.
Oh,
what's the view? Click on the view. Is there any kind of
that time?
If you hit Control A, which should hopefully select all the nodes, and then hit H.
Is your S still frame selected?
Yeah, it's just framed your viewport selected.
Yeah, okay. Handy tip for this stuff, by the way, use your protect tags, which I don't know where they're organized anymore, but
yeah, I don't use it, so I'm not sure where it lives.
It used to be under a. Well, we'll just add it through.
When in doubt, command manager.
This way we can't move that around anymore.
I think you
yeah,
just have to zoom out, like right click, or do the alt, like zoom out, not scroll, but
yeah.
Or you're so far out that it got really tiny. I have no idea. Like
yeah, I don't know how to actually reframe this, guys.
You clicked a few times, so it's just
yeah. I'm getting a little click happy here. That's unfortunate that we didn't get to actually keep that blend in there for that. I find it hard to believe we couldn't.
No, I think we can, but you've.
Do you want to try and reframe it?
Navigated a few times, so
yeah,
you've lost me. And then it's possible you also.
There's one person on Slack probably going like, "You idiot."
Yeah, the H is not framing at all. Caps lock is on, but it's still. I'm hitting Control A to select all, and then hitting the letter H. Well, that time it did. So there you go. I don't know what the deal was.
So you were selected and hit H?
I hit Control A, and then I just clicked off in the viewport, and then hit H, and it did pop in.
All right, I'm going to be very careful. This is our.
Like I said, I think there's a bug.
Right. Yeah.
But it's interesting that caps lock will prevent that.
So we're going to add our other material here to our layer color, and we're going to use that noise. Oop. We're going to use that noise. I probably could have just left those and actually. Yeah, actually, I'm being dumb, guys. I'm sorry. Let's use this as our layer blend. Let's see what we got going on here.
So you re-added the same kind of speckle in
Mm-hmm.
with the new color. Let's use a different noise so we can tell between them.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go here. Let's just change this to Voronoi or something.
That's the big noise. So I think we want this little guy.
Oh, right.
And then go to, is it Voronoi 3 is a very dot patterny one. No, it's not 3. It might be 2. It might also be sparse.
You know what? Okay.
Oh, okay.
Let's just get rid of our emission for a minute. See what we're doing.
Still there.
Yeah, I'm getting a little
You went like 3 layers deep where you lost it.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm not sure what materials applied where in which way anyway.
That little thing just threw me off. So this should be the material.
Yeah, you're in the right material.
I'm not sure why
But
emission
somewhere-
is still. I guess I'm still in. Not sure why there's
Emission
still
to
emission.
zero is emission.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. Oh,
You're not outputting that.
well, it shouldn't have to be necessarily for the.
Well, you're just outputting.
Oh, I was outputting it. Right.
the
Okay.
noise,
I'm
yeah.
back, guys. I'm back. All right. So let's.
Give more.
Yeah.
Is this the right noise? I don't know if it is. Whatever. You can use whichever noise you like.
Okay. You know what might be fun actually?
Yeah, this isn't the right one. Now we see it's give me a full range. Show the full range of what high to low. And then there's one of these that gives awesome circles. I don't remember which one, but it's one of these. Not that one. Try sparse.
Nope, displaced. Sparse.
Oh wait, and also we need the octaves to be 1. Yeah, octaves 1, and then go back to like Voronoi 3 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them gives not that one, but one of them gives like brilliant little
Pretty
circles.
cool though.
No, why is it?
Cell Voronoi?
Cell? No, not cell. Damn it.
Is it maybe if it's cranked up a certain way?
No, I thought it was just low octaves.
Hmm.
It gave like perfect little random
Zada?
circles. No.
That's pretty cool though.
It's neat. I like it. We can continue from there.
Okay, let's do this. Sure. It's gonna be kind of weird. Let's maybe change the scale on this one.
Yeah. JC, that's not the one I'm thinking of because I don't know the Redshift material, but
Let's make it really. There we go. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what that looks like. Yeah. Now we have this. Is probably still pink. Make it yellow. Oh yeah, we're making it glow, right?
Yeah, the glow is.
So we actually don't even need this material right now.
No.
I'm gonna leave it for a minute. Let's make just this one. Actually, we need it, but we just need to glow, so we can kill the reflection. Let's put this. Let's control both the color and the emissive texture with the
vertex map.
No, let's control it with one color. Just
Oh, I see.
yeah, because sometimes it's nice if you get the actual diffuse in there. Emission color. Now if we give this like a, I don't know, let's go back to our, got that. And if we make it glow, might be cool to put some more gradient on top. Oh my God.
Oh.
That's going to drive me crazy. We're switching over to R21 at work, and that's going to be bad.
You tell me if it happens, because who knows? Maybe it's my keyboard or something. But
yeah, maybe.
For me, it seems like it's R21. Multiply this glow with the. Ooh, I like that. Multiply this glow material with the vertex map, so the glow is bright in the middle and fades out towards the
Sure,
edge.
yeah. We'll use a layer. I can actually blend it. I could blend it right here, where this is where it blends in. So maybe that's where I want to do it. But I could also have this blend into a different.
I thought the glow was coming from the bottom.
It is coming from the bottom, and that's where they're blending right
I was
here.
going to say keep the pattern at full power.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Just the glowing at the bottom.
So I'll just make a color
Essentially just
layer.
This yellow that could transition into black.
Yeah, but let me try this first. I think this might look cool. And then we can reuse it we can plug in whatever we want once we get it.
It's so fiddly.
So this is going to be our layer color mask. I can't even see anything. I'm so afraid to navigate now. Okay, I did it, guys. This is our mask. This noise pattern is our base color. And let's just look at what's going on here. So now we're just going to try and flip that probably. So we'll
invert. There's an invert button right there.
Yeah, where is it at?
No, click on the vertex.
Oh, the vertex map, yeah. Invert this guy. So now we can just have that. Let me just see what it first looks like here as we replace what this does, the blending. And then actually look through it. So now it does a little something interesting there. Maybe we can I think the emissive color is so bright that it's actually like not making it as
I'm fine with that though.
Yeah, I'm just curious if it
now
we're getting a little more color. It's like blasting it too much.
I like that, yeah.
But we can actually, we could go through and tweak that even more. But let me just change this color. It's the brighter you go with it, the more towards white it gets. So that's gonna change, a little bit of what the color is. Yeah, you can get pretty cool with it. Maybe we like just a little bit of orange tint. Cool. This guy's getting a little.
Yeah, he's getting a tan.
Maybe we give him a little something.
This is a future tanning booth hamster ball.
Now we're just playing, but that's generally how you'd make something like that.
And that's how you make.
And then you're done. Let's get this guy a little reflective or something. This is our little guy in the middle. So one thing we didn't do yet is we didn't play with actual reflective colors, but that's another area where you could actually go in and start to get something interesting. So we can go to our light back here and actually
also
start giving.
Environment.
Yeah, exactly, the environment too. So we can actually go and give our lights more of let's like just use something interesting to blast it for a minute, and create some kind of a rainbow here of crazy colors.
Somebody's asking, do you know if volumetric or if an emissive material would contribute to volumetrics in Redshift?
Mm-hmm. They would.
So you just had a bright luminant sphere. It would show up volumetrically if you had.
Let me see. So to do that, you would first need a environment, right? This is where the actual volumes will come from, and then you need to tell it what's contributing to this environment. What's going to give you fog? This pink looks kind of cool. I kind of want to just quickly do something on the front. Anyways, yeah. So the fog. So the question is, can the emissive material contribute to that fog? I actually don't know off the top of my head. Let me just try it really quick. So our emissive material is here. I actually don't know.
I don't even know how to.
So to get a light, so to get a light to do it, like this one back here, we can make a new one actually. So we're gonna take this light, shrink it down. We're gonna give it like a very tight spread, and then we're gonna actually have it contribute to the volume more. So it's gonna get crazy. We're actually gonna put it to 1 contribution, and then we'll tweak the environment to suit it. So I can get just a little bit of this.
Clearly, it's doing something.
Yeah, and the smaller you make that light source, and the more tight you make the spread, the more we'll call this our fog.
It'll turn more into like a spotlight.
Fog light. Yeah, exactly. Oh, wrong one. Fog light. And then we'll just really amp up that spread to like really see what's going on. And then we'll again up the environment.
Yeah, it's doing it. It's still a pretty wide beam overall.
Yeah, and it's actually too much in front of it.
Yeah.
So
just scale it smaller.
Yeah. Fog light.
Yeah, there you get a beam. Well, clearly, okay. So clearly the fog is working.
Yeah. And then, we'll just put this back a little bit.
Ooh,
Maybe
that's
we'll
nice.
maybe we'll add a little target to it.
Somebody's saying that you have to have a mesh light and that textures might not work.
Right. Yeah. And then mesh light also,
It'd have to be geometry.
we'd have to redo how we're doing a couple things, which I don't think
No, that was just a random question. We don't
Yeah.
need to like specifically go, although I did like that light beam.
How did we? Yeah, I'll put it back. I'm trying to get a target on here, but I guess maybe that will change it. Where's target at now?
Probably under animation tags at the very top.
Man, they really organized all this, huh? Let's target our guy.
Ding.
And then let's put it back here. Twist it around so it gets more blocked by it, maybe. Pick it up. God rays. We'll tint it a little bit with the environment color. And then we'll lower the scattering just so it's subtle. And then again, if you remember, we have a dome light here that's actually filling in all of our shadows and stuff. So if we want to like change how that looks, we can like give that something. Now we can.
Could you give this a gradient easily?
So you can create a camera shader. I think I would do that with more of a composite thing, or I would put some kind of an emissive texture behind it, because I don't think you can really plug in what you'd want without a texture map created. So without creating an actual texture map, it might be difficult for us to do that. And so you can see we're getting more contrast in the shadows. The reflections are going down. So I might just like, control that a little bit, balance it, keep a little bit of our, yeah, I think that's probably a decent place to stop. What do you think?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we sort of covered some of the interesting bits that everybody's asking about.
I guess we could have also targeted those little areas, but whatever,
Oh, there's a million things we could just keep going.
Can I show you one quick thing, guys? Just because this is a really cool thing that I didn't know about for a long time. If you want to target just these areas quickly with a selection, you can use what's called a point break selection, and then you can actually refine how far the selection goes out. Anyways, cool stuff.
I always
That's an Erik Jensen. Yeah, he showed me that one.
That'd be great to. Well, let's do that real quick. Why not? What's the shortcut on that one?
I don't know the shortcut. It's just in the select menu, but
yeah, just by you protected the camera. That's fine. I'll just do these two. Override that selection. Set selection, and now
hit refresh on that.
Oh, do we have to?
Oh, you know what? It won't work because we have the
the gradient overlay.
Gradient. Yeah.
Oh, the spherical
That's
fall
still
off
kind of
is
cool
coming
though.
back
It's
to
more
focus.
different.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. There. Yeah. The spherical fall off is preventing those, but I was just going to activate those on the outside. Yep. Well, there's that. So we got a few. We'll do a few extra minutes because we started a little bit late. I don't think that we have a chance specifically to like answer a complicated question, but in cinema. But if you guys have any like typed out questions that we can just chat about, that would be good. In fact, while you are all a few seconds behind and getting ready to type things, I did see a question a little bit earlier, which was, you're saying you're doing a project where you're using Octane and you're using Redshift. Why are you doing both, and where is one more useful than the other one?
So I do think so. For this use case, Redshift is clearly like it can look good. I think Octane looks better and more real faster. So, but part of it is just like at ours, for that John Deere project we had, and
they're not same screen.
Yeah, oh, that's fine. But we had all of those assets in Octane done 3 years ago that they still hold up, and they still were a great starting point. And they were the same vehicles this year for the project we were doing. But we knew that Octane would work great for some things, but we had some more stylized shots too. We actually had, similar to that bubble thing, we had like X-rays with like thin lines and glowing lines and all sorts of like transparent, all the vehicles were kind of like glowing line, it's like cool, like Tron effect. So we did that with Redshift just because I felt way more confident with the tools to like isolate the parts, do all that. So, it just made sense from a project standpoint to mix the two together.
I'm going to ask, because you're actually one of the few people who's at a studio who still is talking about using Octane. Have you, a story I've heard.
Octane burn.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, have you run into, and is there any way around a story I've just heard often because I don't use Octane very often. A story I hear all the time is some freelancers or a small company is like, I'm going to use Octane. It looks amazing. I'm getting results that look absolutely gorgeous right out of the box. You can't make it look bad. It always looks good.
It's hard, yeah.
And then it's like, okay, cool. Time for the final render. Turn on the trees. Turn on the cars. Turn on the pedestrians. Turn on the lights. And Octane just goes, nope, not going to render. Like, sorry,
That's
not going to go anymore.
So I've never had. Well, let's not say never. I rarely have a problem where it can't handle the geo. It can always load the geo. It might just take a little bit longer. I don't think Redshift's so like that different. I don't think it's that much better with it from my experience. But what you do run into is that Octane is more finicky and it doesn't like certain things. It doesn't like when you instance an instance, and sometimes you do that a lot. So if you have the experience in Octane, you can know like, hey, maybe I'll set up the city without instancing instances and do it maybe just a little bit different, and then nothing will break.
Yeah, I remember when Chad and I were trying to do the cool. It was like all wooden block animation, and he was trying to do an Arnold, and something wasn't working. So he's like, "Okay, we're gonna shift over the Redshift," and then suddenly a certain type of cloner was just not acknowledging. It's like, "Oh, particle system with a cloner just didn't work." It's like, what? And we ran into that like a dozen times. So.
That's the hard part too. That is like, knowing one renderer really well is important, because even you guys could see like there's certain things where I'm like, oh yeah, that's Octane, and like it just they're so similar in some ways, and they both use that espresso view that it's you can easily forget what's what.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Let's see. Alex has got a question about your website. Based on this project, what would your ratio on dynamics versus keyframe animation? Like, when do you use what? So let's click on the link. So based on this, be like when do you go dynamic? When do you keyframe?
So I'm just from I think we said this earlier if you were in the stream, but I just come from a place nowadays where I'm way more likely to do something by hand than I am to fiddle with a dynamic solution. But that doesn't mean I don't use it. So in this spot, obviously that wheel's just spinning down a thing. It's not really doing much. So that's all just everything here is hand animated. Everything here is all of that's a simulation. There's just too many. I didn't want to have to, obviously there's just
that ball bounce.
That ball bounce was hand animated because I didn't want to, we maybe try. Dynamics are so easy just to try it. First a ball, like, yeah, we'll drop a ball and see if it works. But at the end of the day, I wanted to make sure that the face was the right way and all that stuff. And this is just, it's hitting a beat. It's too specific to, and like, I focused in a lot on the handles and how things ease in, ease out. So the minute I can't control that, I get really frustrated personally. So, but if you go back to the balloons, I think these are just MoGraph. These aren't dynamic at all, but they kind of feel dynamic just based on tweaking settings. And then the strings here, are a sweep. It's a simple 2 nulls that I'm generating a spline in between them through an Espresso, and then I'm just using a sweep to give it substance. So it's not doing anything specific. It's just tied to, I'm just animating a top balloon with like a wiggle, and I'm animating and I set the bottom null to be the base of the sign.
Just as a quick thing for both you and anybody else, something I've been doing more and more that I find very useful is you can use the tracer object in some really fun ways. If you're working on that balloon, you're supposed to have a balloon up here, and then it's supposed to be connected.
We actually use that method a lot. And actually, a dude named Scott Pellman, he turned me on to it more so, but he's one of our go-to freelancer dudes and buddies.
No, yeah. So now it's like you don't have to do any Espresso, and now we have two objects that are connected together, or those could be two nulls. And yeah, very nice to do that.
Yeah, then you just pop the tracer in a sweep, and you have a balloon.
And there's even I had helped somebody out. I helped a friend out where they had to like do a camera trail from like they had one position of a camera and another position of the camera, but each one was in a completely unique rig, and it had to transition from one rig to another rig to another rig. I was like, drop every camera into a tracer, you'll get one spline, and then now it'll even follow those arcs and transitions.
That's super cool.
And I'm pretty sure, the tracer has a lot of options here. So if these were, let's say these were all spots on a camera that's supposed to be tracing, we could create a third one and throw this into the tracer.
So
if these are camera positions, we can grab this tracer and change this type to something like a B-spline, which is the super smooth one, give it a natural curve. So now we could keep on adding more camera positions, and then it's going to be transitioning between them. And different spline types will do different ones. If we say an Akima or a cubic, then it's going to reach the point itself. So there's a couple of nice fun options. And now if one of these cameras was supposed to be chasing something, we're allowed to move this and do it. And these can be different rigs, different scenes, different scales, and the tracer will just be like link. So yeah, really powerful little addition.
That's great. Yeah.
Let's see. Back and forth. Any opinion on Arnold?
I think Arnold's sweet. I don't use it. That's because our hardware is not geared towards it, but maybe it is now. Now that they have a GPU version. But
is that officially out? I haven't been keeping up.
I think it's out, yeah. But at the end of the day, though, it's still like a super heavy. There's still slower renders, and I still value that. So,
Low Tech is asking about the wheel tread in the animation. So is that
just a simple? It's not even animating. I don't think it's just a simple texture. That's just like we did in the other material. It probably has like a selection. Maybe like it's blended, so it's not like a hard line cutting it off on the side.
Was this a gradient that's displaced, or did you in Photoshop just draw a squiggle?
I went into Photoshop and just squiggled some lines really quick, and then just mapped it on there.
Okay.
Made it tileable,
Yeah, because you can see there's a couple different ones.
I'm
trying to see the tile. I love looking at animations, trying to find the tile.
You could probably see it right there, probably. Yeah. Way to ruin it. Thanks, Chris.
Always find the tile. Yeah, we're not going to tackle any making of anything right now. We can't, we're already over time. So we're just answering some questions before we wrap up.
We got too deep looking for nodes.
Yeah, so many nodes, and losing the nodes, they escape. Most used hotkey. Well, that's an interesting question.
H is a big one. You know what I use nowadays? I found this awesome script, and I forget where it came from, but I set it to Shift D, and I have it delete all tracks. So any animation track, is hit Shift D, and it will delete all the tracks on it. I use that all day.
Track. Well, just on top of that, in case you didn't know, if you have you have this keyframed, and then now there's a track, and you change the value and everything. If you just hold down Control and Shift, and you click that, it'll actually delete the track.
Oh, is that new, or is that?
I think it's been there for a few versions.
All right.
Cool. I didn't switch the screen, but yeah, if you hold down, if you were to keyframe, and then different time, different keyframe, even if you right now I could control. I forget which button. It was Shift. By holding on Shift, it deleted that. But you see, it's still yellow. That means there's still a keyframe somewhere, and there's a different thing where there could still be a track. But if you hold Control and Shift as you click, it deletes all the keyframes and all the tracks and leaves it in its current state.
That's cool.
So a neat little thing.
Another one I've been using a little bit is adding scroll to first active as a hotkey.
Oh yeah.
As like Alt F or something like that, but it only works if your mouse is on top of your object. Yeah. They in R21 they did add PSR into the interface, which is that's
awesome.
Weirdly one I've never set to a hotkey. I just have a little button on top of my.
Yeah, as long as it's a quick thing.
Yeah, it's a quick thing. I probably should. I use it all the time.
But yeah, it's one of the main things. I've been promoting scroll to first active and reset to
You showed
PSR.
me scroll to first active.
I think I told everybody. And I was like
I remember that interaction because that was one of the first times I met you.
Oh,
and I was like, that's pretty cool, I guess.
It's like, oh my God, it's amazing.
And later I was like, oh my
God. I've really gotten recently, just as it's not really a super new shortcut, but I just wasn't using it, is the holding Alt as you create something to create it as a parent.
Oh yeah.
But then what's really cool is something I hadn't thought about is if you hold down Alt as you have multiple objects selected, let's say I was creating a null, it'll create 3 nulls in each of them, but it also automatically is putting it at 0 point. So it's a really nice way of, if I wanted to group these all together, I can grab all 3 and hit Alt G, and it puts them in the one null that's averaging the distance. But if you want to put, let's say I needed everything, let's say we had a spline, and I've got, I have several of a spline. If I hold down, I need to do 2 different, let's say lofts. Then I can just hold down Alt and it'll create 2 lofts, each as automatic parents. So I've just been doing that more often. So
yeah,
that adds a lot of fun.
I've been doing like one step removed where to do the same thing is like it's more work, but I would do this and then I would say like, again, they change things, but I would convert it to nulls, and then now you have now you have one like kind of
I
like,
love those converts.
Yeah, it's good for other stuff though.
Dean, I'm not sure which one you're referring to, Dean, but I'm glad one of them was useful. Do you ever have any issues with XRefs? Since you were saying you've got XRefs in your XRefs.
Yes. Yes, I do. They're actually they've gotten way more stable, but they've burned me a few times where like everything will unlink and then the manager will suck and or it just, but actually if you go back to, I'm going to turn the screen on for a minute and can you pull up website? Yeah. So actually we did some interesting stuff that worked out pretty well for this project where we, we would animate one, and we kept it as XRefs for a reason, I can't remember why, but we would animate one panel doing an animation, and then we would XRef that into another scene where we would we would do something else with it, and then we'd XRef that to be the whole bunch. Oh, so that's what we did. We made we had a strawberry asset, and within that asset, we needed to get some specific animation. So we had something XRef'd or duplicated. It was for some reason we couldn't use instances, and then we wanted the whole bunch because they were going to be used everywhere. So then we made that an XRef asset, and it worked pretty well. It's slow, but it didn't break, which is the main thing.
Yeah. For big projects, changing assets, multiple people on a team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't have anything to compare to because I know that like Maya and Max probably have had stuff for a long time, and Cinema has always been a little bit more of a single person or a small team. Once you get into large teams, like things like a more advanced XRS might become super necessary. But
that's a great point.
I don't know the limitations. Grunder? I'm gonna say Grunder, but I could be saying that wrong. Grunder or Gruender? I'm not sure. But is there a Rocket Lasso Discord? I think technically, yes, there is one. I don't run it. One of the members we do Rocket Lasso Slack channel is the main one that we use. But somebody in there was like, hey, I put together a Discord in case anybody likes Discord better. So there is one of those. While we're at that stage, I should shout out the Rocket Lasso Slack channel. Most people who are here hanging out are also in the Slack channel, so the conversation continues there. I post things there. When I eventually run the beta testing for the new tools that we're working on, I'm going to be pulling people from the Slack. I'll run it out of the Slack channel. So you just go to, if you're not already signed up, you can go to rocketlassoslack.com, and then you can automatically sign up and join in. It's a nice small community. There's contests and little challenges every week, so it's fun. And let's see.
You've got a cube.
Oh yeah, Half-Res cube. Half-Res 8 cube.
Does this light up? Does it light up?
It does light up. I think it lights up if you go
man.
upside down.
KGB. Michael Kozlowski, everyone. He engineered these.
Yep.
Crazy way.
They're fun.
So cool.
Yeah, I think we're about 20 minutes over, so that should be about right. Let's see. Quick shout out for any of your social media, and I'll put the links in, but
yeah, sure.
You can.
Yeah, it's fine. No,
yeah. It's kind of like at Run Kick Shout,
right? Yeah,
everything.
At Run Kick Shout anywhere. We try to keep Instagram updated. That's our best place. So if you're not content with that, then I'm sorry for letting you down. But it's that in our website, and that's like the main place you can find us.
Nice. Well, thanks so much for coming on and being a guest. It's been a long time, but I'm gonna be trying to do this more often, have more people, and cycle through.
Totally.
So lots of great artists in Chicago.
Hope everyone could follow it, and thanks, guys.
So that'll wrap this up. Thank you so much, everybody. A big shout out to the people supporting on Patreon. It enables me to do these streams and try and record tutorials and do more stuff free for everybody online. And then there's a bonus stream tomorrow for people who are supporting on Patreon. Eventually, any of that cool stuff usually ends up out in the world. So yeah, the good stuff will always trickle out to everybody. But like I said, I've got that car, dropping cloth on a car and then doing a product reveal with really nice wrinkles. That started out as a test in one of these Rocket Lasso lives, and then I did a bunch of testing inside of the bonus stream, and now it's coming out as a real tutorial that's like 2.5 hours long. It's crazy, but it should be good. Cool. Thank you so much, everybody. Terry, if you're still here, we'll definitely tackle the roulette wheel next week if you're still around. Apologies for that. But otherwise, thank you so much, everybody. And I'll see you tomorrow on the stream. And otherwise, see you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.